Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about making our documents that we make and our presentations a little bit more visually appealing. And understanding about how layering works is a really important tool. So I'm going to describe it a little bit. I'm going to show you what I mean. And it's also going to add into another concept that's a computer science term, but it will help you understand about the undo feature that we have in most modern products. Okay, so first of all, I've added this really lovely, well, maybe not lovely to you, but I put a shape on the outside so that makes the side, it'll make it look a little nicer to have that border around the outside. So I just dragged the shape out and I decided I wanted the rounded corners and I made it a nice thick 8 point and I changed the color. So those are the changes that I made. But now that I want to work on this slide, I can't click in here because this slide is on this image that I just added is on top of these other boxes. And so what I need to understand is how ordering works with layers. So in terms of, I'm actually going to add in on top of this, I'm going to actually search the web for books. And you can see I've done that earlier. So if I just search regularly by books, you can see it gives these pictures, but these are photographs. And so it's going to have this background color in it, which I don't like. So I'm going to search for PNG. And you could either search for regular PNG or you can add the transparent afterwards. And when you drag these things out, so even though the image is a square, oh, and actually, I don't know why it did, it put the thick border around, so let me undo that. I don't know why it did that. Let's see. I'm going to insert like that instead of dragging. Oh, it's doing it on each one. So that's okay. I did not expect that. So I'm going to go here and say my border is transparent. So you can see that this shape, whenever you have an image, it's always a rectangular shape. So even though what you see when I click away is you can't see when I'm clicked away that that's a square image. All you're seeing is just the actual books. But really, when it's stored on the computer, it is a square. But we have these transparent. So PNG is the image type that allows transparency. Now, I still am having this problem that I can't click on that. Whenever I click, it's clicking on this big border that I put around. So what I need to do is understand, I need to send this border to the very back because I don't want to put anything on top. I want that to be in the total background. Sometimes I have the border, if I'm like focusing on something, I have it in the foreground, but for this particular one, I want it in the background. So you can see that it's selected and you can tell it's selected because it has those blue squares all around it. And so I just have to right click. And if I'm using my touchpad, I do 2-finger click. And then I go to this order button. And it gives me all of these choices. So I can bring something to the front, bring it forward. That just moves it up one. Send it backwards, which brings it back one. And send it to the way back, which is the very last thing, which is what I want to do. So now this is in the way back. And so I'm able to now click and get my title and subtitles. And so, for example, if I wanted to like put a label on top of this stack of books, this text box was here first. So it's on top of, so the text box is here, but it's behind the books. And so now if I click and I try and drag around, you see that it turns to the book. So I want the books to go back, but I don't want them to go in the way, way, way back. So I'm just going to send it backwards once. Up, not enough. So I have to go and do it again, send it backwards again. So normally what I would have done was I would have resized this text box on the side. I would have just moved it forward once, but at any rate. And then don't forget when you click and you move, you can rotate your text boxes by clicking on that circle. And so let's say, do you remember, I remember when I was in school, we used to get in college, you'd put your names, or when I was in high school, I would put my name on the book when I bought it. If I bought a book, then I'd have my name there. So that way no one could take my book because it would have my name on the outside. And it would be quick, or maybe I'd put the subject on it or something. So at any rate, you can make really nice visuals this way if you understand that. And the same thing with the undo. It works like that stack system too. So it does everything you do, it just stacks one on top of the other. So the last thing I did was here. So you remember I resized. So watch when I hit undo. I twisted it and I hit undo again. And so now my subtitle is back and I've hit undo again. Then that's straight and it's moving back up. So it's slowly but surely going to undo one at a time every single thing that I did. And so that's like that stack system. So you take one book off at a time, one off at a time, one off at a time. And so our layering works that way, as well as our undo and redo. It's going to replace one thing at a time. And so different software programs let you have more undos and redos than others. I've never had an issue with the Google because it saves everything that you do. I think you can sort of do it. I've never run into the time where I can't undo as often as I want to. So I can go back to the very beginning. So that's just a good thing to know. All right. Good luck with your layering.